You know you've got a good thing going when an iconic celeb is baking a copycat version of your buns. These steakhouses know their bread, and you don't have to drop any dough to get a hold of it. The bread of choice at Outback Steakhouse is a hearty honey wheat brown, which rides the fine line between earthy and sweet. Molasses is a key ingredient and a major factor in the rustic flavor. With one slice, you'll know for sure that you're enjoying a sweet wheat-based bread. Who wouldn't welcome a warm basket of this bold bake with a buttery scoop on the side? Such a tempting steakhouse starter dish can barely be contained within the walls of Outback. Copycat recipes abound online, with home chefs using their detective-like palates to decrypt the magical mix and recreate their best takes on this sweet loaf. But if you're not ready to conjure a secret formula and resurrect these loaves in your own kitchen, then you can simply head to your local Outback Steakhouse to discover what all the fuss is about. Texas Roadhouse is so proud of its free table bread that they announce on their website that their fresh-baked rolls are turned out every 5 minutes for peak enjoyment. No matter when the bread arrives at your table, you can rest assured that it's been baked as recently as possible. A pat of sweetly seasoned honey cinnamon butter makes these warm wonders even more indulgent. And if you're worried that there's a quota on how many rolls you're allowed to have with your meal, then worry no more, as they are in fact unlimited. It isn't just tableside service where Texas Roadhouse shows off its free bread generosity. As one customer revealed on Reddit, after asking for a few extra rolls with a 2-dish takeout request, he was rewarded with an entire bag of the baked beauties. Clearly, Texas Roadhouse is one steakhouse that goes above and beyond when it comes to their bread.
I always go to the Texas Roadhouse.
Firebirds wood-fired grill knows that when there's no bread on the table, that's a sure sign that you're in a bad steakhouse. To achieve its one-of-a-kind loaf, this chain uses semolina flour made from durum wheat, which is coarser and more protein-packed than many other types of wheat flour. It also imparts a nutty flavor. The loaves are baked in a wood-fired oven, which adds irresistible flavor to baked goods and ties in with the restaurant's open-flame cooking practices. Firebirds makes sure to include its bread with takeout and delivery orders as well, providing a loaf for every 4 items ordered and letting customers choose the table where they indulge in their free carbs. And once your order arrives, you can get down to the business of slicing and digging into this uniquely tasty take on table bread. As one of Disney World's prime dining locales, Shula Steakhouse always treats its visitors to complimentary loaves of freshly baked sourdough. This type of bread has existed since ancient Egypt, though the actual sourdough at your table is bound to be far fresher. The prospect of a steaming loaf priming your palate is almost enough to make you forget the rest of your meal. The chewy outer crust and soft, steamy center make for a multi-textured bite that may require a bit of work, especially when you're breaking off a chunk instead of cutting precision slices. With rustic bread like sourdough, there's no shame in getting a little aggressive, especially when your efforts will yield such delightful results. Shula serves its sourdough loaves at both its namesake and prime locations. Visitors have lauded the simplicity of the bread, which makes it no less delicious than a more complex variety. It's a fantastic pairing to the main dishes, as well as a perfect snack to whet your appetite before you order. Though it doesn't charge anything for its bread, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse and Wine Bar makes sure to include it on their online menu. For anyone hoping to eat more cheaply at this top-shelf restaurant, making the most of the table bread isn't a bad idea, especially considering Fleming's status as a mid-priced steakhouse. Making your money go as far as possible includes maximizing every morsel, and these Parmesan-crusted loaves are a tasty way to extend your cash reserves, at least until dinner arrives.
Could we please get a little bread?
Fleming's is so enamored of its own bread game that it even posts enticements on its Facebook page. These include distracting photos of fresh bakes slathered in a duo of delicious spreads, one flavored with champagne and brie, and the other made zesty with red onion and cabernet. Adding thoughtful touches like this elevates the bread course to the realm of gourmet. Quite frankly, such elegance provides memorable moments at every stage of a diner's experience. Morton's the Steakhouse may be a relatively expensive establishment, but the bread is still free. An enormous dinner roll topped with crispy onion bits makes this course a sumptuous centerpiece, regardless of the rest of your order. This bake resembles egg-based deli rolls that can be used to make picnic sandwiches, though it would take quite a bit of charcuterie to fill a loaf of this size. There's enough to share with everyone at your table, though it wouldn't be wrong for you to snag some extra just in case. Morton's is none too shy to put its best bread forward when promoting its foods on social social media, with snapshots that make this loaf feel like an influencer in the world of baked goods. One TripAdvisor reviewer compares the taste to an onion-flavored focaccia, a description that's sure to sound heavenly to bread lovers. Anyone looking to bring the goodness home can head to Grubhub and order a loaf for about $2.20. That's certainly a bargain for gourmet bread in any market, though the free version when dining in comes with atmosphere aplenty. Considering that Black Angus Steakhouse never uses frozen steak, you might assume that it also delivers a positive experience when it's time to serve some bread. And you would absolutely be right. Their scrumptious molasses bread has a deeply hued crust topped with a sprinkling of whole oats. It offers a homey Old West kind of spirit that transports tasters to a cowboy campsite. These rolls are personal size, allowing each diner the pleasure of enjoying their own portion instead of worrying about if there's enough to go around. And it turns out that none other than Martha Stewart has a recipe for a similar bread. A video on her YouTube page walks home bakers through the process of making their own replica loaves, which includes oat flour in addition to the oat topping. For Black Angus fans, making a knockoff may satisfy the carb cravings that can arise between visits, but the sensation of watching the waitstaff deliver the first warm rolls to your table can only happen at the restaurant. We recommend enjoying them with as much butter spread on top as possible. Sometimes a steakhouse goes out of its way to impress bread connoisseurs with their selection of free treats. That's definitely the case with the Capital Grille, which serves up a bountiful basket brimming with no less than 4 different kinds of fresh bread. This quartet consists of a naan-like flatbread, onion focaccia, walnut-studded slices with raisins, and seed-topped rolls. It's a veritable smorgasbord of bread, each with its own distinct character and winsome flavor, offering something for nearly every palate. While other steakhouses are content with just one signature bread, this ambitious eatery quadruples the stakes. But is it possible that these offerings are baked off the Capital Grille grounds? A review of the Paramus, New Jersey location in New Jersey Monthly credits Tomcat Bakery for the basket, casting doubt that they're made in-house. Adding to the mystery, a page on the Capital Grille's website lauds the pastry chef for creating its sweets and desserts, while making no mention of its bread selection. Regardless of the source, though, this is absolutely one of the most creative craft bread baskets in the steakhouse chain game. Smith & Wollensky takes quite the clever path with its free bread. Rather than serving their rolls freestyle or tossed into a basket, they leave them in the pan that they were baked in. Are you getting more free table bread than you bargained for, or has the bakeware shrunk in the oven? Once you break one of the bursting rolls free, the answer becomes irrelevant. All you know for sure is that you have free bread to enjoy, and who has ever complained about free bread? Of course, nothing that's promoted as free is actually free. In the case of steakhouse dining, it's the restaurant itself that typically consumes the charge of complimentary bread. So how much does it cost to churn out bread that guests don't pay for? According to the Washington Post, for Smith & Wollensky, it's about 60 cents per order of bread. When you consider how many people can eat there in one night, more than $50 per table is actually pretty steep. But at least you're not paying for it, not directly anyway.
Wow. You just wrinkled my brain, man.
Lumpy, bumpy, light, and fluffy rolls all nestled together and soaked in butter. That's what guests can expect from the table bread at Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse. Delivered in a pan that suggests it came from a specialty bake shop, the bread at Del Frisco's is a dazzler of a pre-meal course. Even the photos posted online by enthusiastic diners show off a fluffy creation with a gentle crusted crown, baked until golden and drowning in a flood of buttery topping. In a word, they're otherworldly. In another word, they're marvelous. But is it possible that Del Frisco's beloved bread is actually frozen bread with a few upgrades? There's a Reddit thread that claims that the restaurant uses bulk dinner rolls that get brushed with butter and honey along with a bit of sea salt. But even if that's true, it doesn't diminish the anticipation of waiting for your first round or the deliciousness when Del Frisco's bread finally arrives at your table. Oblong bliss in bread form is an apt description for the loaves at LongHorn Steakhouse. With honey wheat bread as the house recipe, LongHorn gives its diners something sweet to nosh on before and during their meals. And if you pace yourself, you can even enjoy it afterward. Copycat recipes may make it possible to bake your own, but who wants to go to all that trouble when there's a restaurant that's happy to take the work off your plate? Plus, a huge part of the free bread experience is the environment where it takes place, after all. A word of warning to all who love LongHorn bread, though. A South Coast Today review wrote about a visit during which the so-called unlimited bread came to the table only once. But there's a simple solution to that conundrum: politely flag down a member of the waitstaff and just make another request. In our humble opinion, a true fan of free bread would never let something so fixable hinder their enjoyment. The most delicious item at Saltgrass Steakhouse may very well be their phenomenal free bread. These are near-perfect spheres of caramel-colored crust with 2 pristine slashes across the top. Talk about an artful presentation. It appears that it's actually beer bread made with Shinerbach beer and served with honey butter. Combining the 2 most perfect uses for yeast into a singular creation is certainly a boss move on Saltgrass's part. Saltgrass is so secure in the process for its signature bread that they've released a video on their Facebook page showing the step-by-step method of crafting the rolls. The 10-second clip shows the dough being mixed and shaped by hand, then removed from the oven and served with a knife sunk in the side like Excalibur.
I, Arthur, was to carry Excalibur.
The excitement of watching free steakhouse bread being made from scratch is enough to inspire new customers to visit, just to give the finished product a taste. This is a bake best savored to the last crumb.